Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel where we are looking at the 13, yes, 13 players that the Green Bay Packers have picked in this year's NFL draft and my personal feelings about them, how I think they're going to do. Will they be a big impact on the roster? But overall, I was very, very happy with this draft. I think we got a lot of good players, good prospects down the road, impact players right now for positions of need. And the big thing is we got Jordan Love some real quality help in this draft. But first, let's go with our first overall pick, number 13 in round one, Lucas Van Ness out of Iowa. And this is a guy that I have mocked to the Packers before in a couple of my previous mock drafts. And I really, really like this guy. He's 6'5", like 280 pounds. Nickname is Hercules, as you can see on the screen. And this is a guy who can be an absolute wrecker. High motor, good strength, good instincts. A lot of people on the internet are saying like, "Oh, but he wasn't a starter at Iowa." Well, yeah, because Iowa only starts technically seniors. That's what they do to reward them for sticking with their program for so long. Van Ness was a redshirt sophomore coming out of college, only 21 years old. He's probably going to start a little bit because of the injury to Rashawn Gary, but if he hits like he's supposed to, like maybe like a TJ Watt type guy, if you got Van Ness and Rashawn Gary at the edge absolutely wrecking stuff, that is a pass rushing duo no one wants to face for a long, long time. And I really like, I'm really high on Van Ness. I think he will be able to develop really, really nicely along guys like Preston Smith and Rashawn Gary being mentor roles. So I love the Van Ness pick. And with pick 42 in the draft in the second round, we got Luke Musgrave, a tight end out of Oregon State. I was high on Musgrave earlier on in the draft process. I think he was really, really good, has a lot of talent. But I personally started to fall off on him a little bit due to lack of tape, lack of playing time, and the massive injury he had back in 2022 that really prevented him from being a first round pick. Because I think if he kept that pace, because the two games he had almost half of the receptions he had in 2021, he would have been easily probably the top tight end in his class. 6'5", real great pass catcher. Not necessarily a hand in the dirt blocking type guy, but we needed a tight end like this. We needed a pass catcher. Because we haven't had one of those since Jermichael Finley, and even then he wasn't really that great. He wasn't a Travis Kelce type. If Musgrave could be like 10% of what Travis Kelce is for Patrick Mahomes, home run of a pick. And I really do think that Jordan Love is going to be really happy with him as like a safety blanket. So I really like the Luke Musgrave pick. Then we got another weapon for Jordan Love at pick 50 with Jayden Reed out of Michigan State. And I think this was a solid pick. A little early. I think that he would have been available in the third round, but that's just my personal opinion. Especially after he traded back with the Lions, and the Lions selected Brian Branch, who's been one of my guys in this process, as the Packers really needed safety. I think he would have been a good quality starter for them, but that's besides the point. Well, let's take a look at Jayden Reed for who he is as a player. And that is a really solid slot player who can also be one of the potential best deep threats in the NFL. Because in college, when Michigan State actually, passed the ball, because Big Ten team doesn't really pass, he was one of the best deep ball threats in college football. Great contest, great ball tracking, really good speed, great footwork. This could be our slot guy. I know we were like saying JSN, but Jayden Reed could be a really good slot player. Well, now we got just the four guys. We got Christian Watson as our main guy. We got Romeo Doubs, Jayden Reed in the slot, and Luke Musgrave as a really good tight end, and Aaron Jones as one of the best receiving backs in the NFL. Man, things are looking pretty good for the Packers offense. We'll see if they're used properly, of course, but I really like it. I like this draft so far. And then in this pick 78, we picked Tucker Kraft out of South Dakota State, double dipping on tight end. This is more of your blocker guy. This is in your dirt. Will beat up guys, go after linebackers, also be a solid pass catcher as well. And this guy just screams Wisconsin energy. His draft celebration thing was in like a shed with red Solo cups and like everyone wearing jeans and t-shirt. Literally said on his interview, like, "I'm sorry, I may have had a little bit too much to drink." This guy gonna be an excellent Packers fan favorite. I hopefully he's a solid guy. I'm really looking forward to seeing his offense. Like I am just so happy with the way this draft turned out. I'm probably a little higher. I'm a little homer, but I like this draft. Then I pick a 116 in the fourth round. We pick Colby Wooden. Interesting player. A little early on him, but guy who has improved in every single year he was with Auburn. Could be a real good like rotational piece along the D line. We're getting really young there with the only guy that besides Kenny Clark has had more than 1 year of experience is TJ Slayton, and he has 3. He's going into third year, but Colby Wooden could be a really solid interior line guy. We needed to get younger at that position with guys like Dean Lowry and Jaron Reed not really performing as well. We still got Kenny Clark. Hopefully Devontae Wyatt, TJ Slayton could be good, and now adding Colby Wooden into this mix could build a really good interior line presence. All right, I'm okay with that. Now this pick I am not so sure of. Pick 149, we selected Sean Clifford out of Penn State, and I watched him at Penn State because I'm a Big Ten guy. I follow Wisconsin football. Wasn't really that great of a quarterback. Struggled a lot with accuracy, ran around too much, but I mean it's fine. It's not the. I mean, it's a backup quarterback in the 5th round. Nothing to be upset over, really. I know people overreacting to it that we can get other things, but it's not the worst thing in the world. This is like the worst pick in our draft, and which I do personally think it is. I think Clifford was one of the worst quarterbacks on the board at the state. That means we did a pretty good job in the draft, but I just don't care for Sean Clifford. Just coming from me watching him in the Big Ten. Not really big Clifford guy, but well, welcome to the team at least. And then at pick 159, we picked Dontavian Wicks out of Virginia. People were a little bit upset about this too because he had a bad 2022, but there is a lot to explain on that because 2022 for him at Virginia was rough. First of all, we have to address that the final 3 games of the season were canceled for Virginia due to the tragic shooting that happened on the campus that led to the death of 3 of their own members on the football team. That really just sucked for them and went through a lot. 2, Wicks did miss 2 games due to injuries. And 3, Virginia was just bad. Like, it was just bad at Virginia last year all around. And so, but what is good about Wicks is in 2021, he actually had a really good season. The one thing you're concerned about him is drops, but that is something that we have had happen in the past with like guys like Devontae Adams, Christian Watson struggle with drops a little bit, but they have developed off into good pass catchers. So I really do think that Wicks can be a good pass catcher for the Packers. Just another weapon to add into that mix of a young wide receiver with Watson, Dobbs, some Artorias 7th-round pick last year. Then we got Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks, and now we also got another guy in the 7th round this year too that I'm actually kind of excited for. We'll get to him later, but just adding young talent to his team I think is really good. It's like a full reset of the Packers. Pick 179, I love this pick. I have been high on the Carl Brooks train for a long time. I thought he should have gone like 4th, 5th round. Just absolute unit on the D-line for Bowling Green State. I hated playing against him. Like, my alma mater was Miami, Ohio. Played Bowling Green a lot the past couple years. Yeah, he's good. The thing you got to worry about is the level of competition, whatever the heck that means. If a guy can play, he can play. High motor, gets after the quarterback, had 10.5 sacks last year as a DL. And I think, again, another really good piece to add to a mix at interior line. I think he's going to be real good for the Packers. Like, I think this is an underrated pick for the Packers, and I really do think Carl Brooks can be real something special in the NFL, maybe even a starter. So keep an eye out for him during training camp and preseason. He could be real good. At pick 207, we pick a kicker in Anders Carlson, younger brother of Daniel Carlson, the kicker for the Raiders. And this, I think, definitely signals the end of Mason Crosby as a Packer. He's probably going to be retired because Carlson did pretty decent last year. Doesn't really miss extra points, but does struggle from range and touchbacks. So again, kind of like Mason Crosby last year. And so hopefully he can develop that power a little bit more, get a little weight in there. But it's a kicker in the 6th round. I don't like taking kickers in the draft because you can still get good quality kickers off in free agency. So I don't like using a pick in the 6th round at all for any like kicker or punter because you can just get them in a quality one in undrafted free agency. But that's just me personally. But so it's whatever. It's whatever. Then in round 7, we picked cornerback Carrington Valentine out of Kentucky. Now, this is where we get started like throwing darts at the wall, seeing what sticks. And Valentine was actually projected as high as a potential 5th round pick. And he's a physical corner, could potentially be good there. Help maybe with Rasul Douglas move to safety. He can be like potential slot or nickel guy. So just a guy to take a flyer on, see what happens. Then we went for another MAC selection and picked 235 and Lou Nichols out of Central Michigan. Had an incredible 2021. Watched him in a couple of bowl games. He's a fun running back. Not really going to wow you with anything, but we did need to get a third running back for the Packers as we don't know what's going on with Aaron Jones or A.J. Dillon. And I think Nichols could be a very solid third running back, practice squad guy. Fun like that. Then at pick 242, player I really like is Anthony Johnson Jr. out of Iowa State. Was a corner for his first 3 years there, and then went over to safety his senior year and actually played really, really well. I think he's a guy who can compete for a starting role for a safety job, which it does show things for him is good, but also shows how bad a safety room for the Packers are that a 7th round pick is competing for a starting job. But I got high hopes for him. Be interested to see what he does in camp and in preseason. Solid selection. And then Grant Dubose out of Charlotte. Just another receiver to add to the room. Maybe be like Samori Toure. Like a 7th round pick makes the team. Does good. Now we got like 6 really young receivers we've taken in the past 2 years. So very, very young receiving room that Jordan Love will hope to take advantage of. But overall, I really like this draft. There's only like 2 picks that I really don't care for. And that was in the 5th and 6th round when we took a backup quarterback and a kicker. But the rest, I like. So I'm really looking forward to see how these guys go through in preseason. Be keeping an eye on them. And let me know what you guys think about the Packers draft down below. I personally like it. But what do you guys think? Until then, I'll see you again very, very soon.